Okay, another Saturday, another week. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Yeah, welcome back to another weekly news highlight. We are now presenting this to you at another of our beautiful display homes down in Darling Harbour. And again, I'm here with the professional, Gary.
Very high.
Yeah, and I'm Peter.
I'm Gary.
Yeah, and let's get into it. There's a lot of good things happening this week.
It
isn't
is,
it?
yeah.
All right, so let's take a look. One of the biggest news this week is about the New South Wales budget and how the government is thinking to actually axe the stamp duty,
Yep.
for good, this time. There has been never talk about axing stamp duty, but when COVID happened, a lot of countries actually start to run a lot of stimulus to help the property market go back to what it was, or maybe even improve it. Even though I think for New South Wales market, it doesn't really need any more improving anymore. If people been keep watching, our weekly update, our weekly news, there probably wouldn't be any other, doubt about how good the market is at the moment. But I think the government still want to just try to take it a little bit further and try to see if they can really quickly boom the market back to what it was. With the earlier announcement of the first home buyer schemes and how anything under 800,000, if for the first home buyer, there's possibility or high possibility, if you go by the rule, you don't have to pay stamp duty, and we can already see so many first home buyers not jump into market to buy. Maybe it opens up the government's mind about maybe let's just axe the whole stamp duty thing once and for all.
Maybe. I think it's probably something they've been looking at for some time.
Yeah, it's not just I think it's not all of a sudden thing.
No. I think they were going to introduce whether we had COVID or not.
Yeah, that's right. But probably with COVID, it really just helped, progress it a little bit better and fast-tracked things a little bit. So stamp duty are actually a very big cost during a transaction. In general, it starts from about 4% of the purchase price, goes up 5%. To about 7%. Depend on the price point. The more expensive the property is, the more stamp duty there is to be paid. So there are about 22. I think if you buy a $4 million property in Sydney at the moment, your stamp duty alone is about 220,000. So that's a lot of money, especially for people who are trying to get into the market. In terms of cash flow wise, the savings need to have. It is a very high bracket for a lot of people. But now with the new legislation, or at least what they're proposing to have, this will definitely help people buying. Definitely help property transacting, from my point of view.
In the long term.
In the long term.
Once they get it in.
Yeah, and these changes, just to say, these changes would only apply to future purchases. Let's just say if this thing happens on the 1st of January, then that means, anything before 1st of January, if you settled before that or purchased before that, you won't get affected. It's only for the new purchases happening down the track after the 1st of January.
So once they bring it in, it's going to take a few months, if indeed they can get it through.
That's right. Yeah. I'll say maybe we'll have a more clear picture around sort of March, April next year. But here, this is what they're proposing. So at the moment, we have 4 different type of property. They put it in this table. First thing is the owner-occupied residential homes. So at the moment, if you own something in Sydney to live in as your primary home space, then you still have to pay stamp duty, depending on the prices, but you don't have to pay any land tax. After the new adjustment, on a yearly basis, you will be paying a $500 fixed fee plus 0.3% of unimproved land value. Just for those people who don't understand what unimproved land value is, it's simply just the cost of the land without the building. Without the building, to simply put it that way. So let's say if you buy an apartment for $1 million, then your land value is probably only going to be about 200,000 to 300,000, maybe even less than that. But if you're buying a house, then if you buy the house for $2 million, sometimes the land value could be about 1.2 million or 1.3 million. So I think this will also help the apartment market as well, just to help the developers to get rid of all the residual stock and then get more things built if it goes in the right direction. Yeah, and the second layer is the investment residential property. So at the moment, for investment residential property, you do have to pay stamp duty and you do have to pay land tax as well. And then when this is happening and introduced, what they're proposing is a $1,500 fixed fee every year plus 1% of the unimproved land value.
Yeah, very fun.
Yeah, which means you have to pay more if you own this as an investment rather than own this as a primary home. I think this thing will also sort of making sure that people buy this property to live in and try not to get many people hold as many residential as possible.
Yeah, looking at it now, the reason it's high is because if it's an investment property, you have to pay land tax anyway.
That's right.
So from now on, my reading is you don't pay land tax,
No.
you just pay the new property tax,
Property tax
which is both stamp duty and land tax.
and land tax.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's fair. I would say
Yeah.
it's still pretty fair. At least it'll help people making decisions to buy property.
Yeah, I suppose what I'm trying to get at is under this thing here, it's not a new penal tax on investment in residential property, because it's basically replacing why the higher rate for investment, because previously you paid land tax anyway.
That's right.
Now you won't.
Now you won't. Yeah, and then which I this will make a lot of sense. I'm paying a lot of land tax every year, and then hopefully I can restructure my whole thing later on into this new structure.
Well, it'd be interesting if you're allowed to do that. Well, you wouldn't do it now because on the other ones, maybe.
Yeah, let's just say, at the moment, if I want to pass on a property to, let's just say, a friend of mine or a family member of mine, I
Yeah.
can't just pass it on because there's a stamp duty involved.
Yeah.
So the pass on cost will be very high. However, if this is waived, then it will be very easy for me to transact the property
Yeah,
to my
help
family.
transaction, yeah.
It'll help transaction. If you own farmland, let's just say, at the moment there's no land tax, there are stamp duty. Later on, it will become a $0 fee, fixed fee every year, plus only 0.3% of
Which is the same as just about
the same as the owner occupier. Yeah, and commercial property, on the other hand, are paying a lot higher, tax wise in terms of the unimproved land value, which is 2.6%.
Yep.
Yeah. So just to clarify things a little bit, it didn't happen now. It will happen eventually, but the government is going to talk to the public before they introduce this whole thing and decide whether they want to, just make the change or not. So this is not certain. This is not something that will 100% happening, and maybe it will happen in a different way than what they proposed as well.
Yep.
We just have to tune in and see it. But either way, I think for property market, this will be a good change. This will be a good change.
And I think all the other states are looking at this
Yep.
with great interest because I think they'd all like to do it, but they just want to see how it goes in New South Wales first.
That's right. Yeah, being the largest number of transaction values in the whole Australia,
Yeah.
this will set a good example for all the other states as well. Next news is.
But it does look they're going to earn more money, so clearly it obviously means it's going to take a greater chunk eventually out of it. But I think if more money can be earned through property and not put up other charges, then that's a good thing.
That's right. Sydney auctions. Let's have a look. Amazing result. 1 bedroom Manly unit has sold for $1.9 million. This is just an eye-dropping result for a property that hasn't been on the this is not a new building. It's a very good building,
Yeah.
and it is on the ocean front. So overall, it is a very good opportunity for people that really enjoy and love in the area. But $1.9 million for a 71 square meter 1 bedroom, in a building that and the property hasn't been on the like this hasn't been a listing, for this property for how many years here?
30.
Over 30 years. So this is the first time on the market over 30 years for one bedroom in this building. It's $650,000 over the reserve, at the auction.
And that's the thing to me is it just shows that the market is hotter than what most of the agents think.
It is.
If you're an agent now, you turn around and say, "What's it going to sell for?" And you just shrug your shoulders and say, "Well, it'll go for at least this."
Yeah. And
but it could go.
It could go. Yeah. That's right. This one bedroom has attracted 150 people, crowded in Manly, to watch 23 bidders compete against this one bedroom unit. As the proceeding was got underway with a $1.4 million bid, and there was already $175,000 over the reserve price, and then the bidding keep happening. Increments are between 5,000 to 25,000, and quickly it goes up to about $1.7 million mark. Then the last two parties got left, traded a series of $10,000 bid as they pushed the sales price towards the $2 million. After 10 minutes of a heated competition, with the underbidder pulling out, the agent has sold it to a local buyer for $1.9 million. And here is a photo of the new owner, Paul, of this particular property. And that's the beauty.
Yeah, it is. It's a very well done building. It's a great spot.
But this is.
It's a lot of money for one bedroom.
It's a lot of money for a one bedroom unit. Yeah. The Manly sale was the one of the 813 Sydney auctions scheduled for this weekend. 25 fewer than the number recorded last weekend. All right, so we've always been talking about houses and all that, and the reason why we put a lot of the unit, auction results up front is because we had been talking about this before. When the house prices goes to a certain level, a lot of people get priced out of the house market, and they will start to tune into some other options. And townhouse are definitely an option. Apartments are the other option. And it looks like the apartment market are starting to attract a lot of strong interest now. And then, so let's take a look at this one. The Recon and Talk About Vaccine Justice Tonic as Beverly Flat with a view attracts 10 registered bidders. So this is a very old apartment. It was built in 1986. The original purchaser has bought this off the plan for $87,000. And then it was sold for $1.161 million after the auction. The deceased state. And the agent has said it's the first time I've had 10 registered bidders all year. It looks like now, even though we are already at the end of November, it doesn't seem the market has really slowed down or cooled down like any of the other year. Normally, when I first joined real estate in November, especially early mid-November, the market is already starting to cool down.
Yeah, the reason for that was that people wanted to get in by Christmas.
That's
traditionally that's what they all do.
That's right.
All the poor builders and the people putting new kitchens and new floors. And the guy next to me, lives next to me, he does floors, his company, and he's out the door every morning at 6:30, and he working certainly 6 days a week at the moment, because there's just such demand, and it's what I said to you last week. The agents I'm talking to all say to me they're going to be working right up to the 22nd of December this year. And that's came through in one of these snippets you've got here.
Yeah.
Exactly
we'll
what
work.
the agent said. He said that we'll go right up to Christmas this year.
Yeah. We will go right up to Christmas as well.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
And because not many people can get out, international flights still hasn't been properly resumed. So that means a lot of lawyers, solicitors, and everyone will probably stay here over the year's Christmas as well. mortgage brokers,
Yep.
all of that.
Uh,
So the bid opened about at 900,000, and roasting about $10,000 increment initially, and then the buyers are not entering the risk until it reached 1.1 million. By the end, the bidder was down to 5,000 and 10,000 increments. The result is $61,000 above the $1.1 million reserve. So it is a very hot
no, they're all-
bid. Yeah. And this one, as well as saying, I actually almost drove next to this property every week when I was living in Mosman. So hush hush, $17.8 million sale of Mosman Home Shatter Street Records.
Yeah.
It is a very good location. This is on the main road. But this one is like the similar location to the Manly one bedroom.
Yeah.
It's on the main road.
So main road of
The other
Balmoral,
side,
basically.
the other side is the beach, so it's got a very similar nature.
Yeah.
Only the other one is apartment. This one is a beautiful, beautiful house. Talking about the yield, we talk about the yield. It was like 3%, 4%, and we think about it. We saw, this is very good return. This particular property was purchased by the original owner in year 2003 for only $5.3 million. Yeah. And then they did have done some renovation. So the council recorded they have lodged and approved application in year 2009 for $20,000 renovation with some internal modifications, new front fence and additional windows. And then now year 2020 it gets sold. That's right. So it's a very good $5.3 million plus $20,000 investment. And it got the yield of it tripled, more than triple.
What, 5.3 up to what did it sell for?
5.3 up to 17.8.
Over triple.
More than triple, 3.5 times.
Maybe.
Yeah, this is just incredible. And it's smashed street record by more than 3 million. On the same street, there was another property that was sold this year in May for about $14 million, if I wasn't mistaken. It is selling here. Yeah, number 75 sold for $14.6 million, and then this one here it was sold for $17.8 million. And it looks like people are slowly moving from, eastern suburbs because it was way too expensive, and now, looking at lower North Shore and upper North Shore. And this sale is not a singularity event. This sale follows a run of sales over $10 million in the upper North Shore and lower North Shore in the recent weeks already. We've seen it Wollstonecraft. Even Wollstonecraft is $10 million.
Well, for a good house.
Yeah, for a good house. Yeah.
I think what's happening is, or someone said to me that there's been a boom on the northern beaches this year, over the last few months. And what people are saying, a lot of people now on the northern beaches are coming from the eastern suburbs. And what they attribute that to is that people now realise they can actually work from home, and that if they're going to work from home, it opens up the fact they can go to the beach. A lot of them want to actually live near the beach. So that's what's sort of booming it there, where people are saying, well, I used to be in the eastern suburbs, I could commute easily into the city. Now I don't need to be going to the city so much, so I'll go and live near the beach instead. And that same sort of drive as the people who are moving out of Sydney to the regions. That's where they want horses as against a jet ski or something.
All right. Let's move into the next one. This one was recorded by Boomers Creole. A double bay marina beachfront home sells to Rose Bay family for around sort of $9.5 million post auction. So we see a lot of sale before auction, and now let's talk about something that's post auction.
Sold after auction.
Yeah, sold after auction. The address is number 8A Castro Place. It looks like this one is a townhouse house-ish thing. I'll look it up and see what it is. It's not a very big home. It does have a very beautiful northern view towards the harbour.
Yeah.
And then the property is on a 368 square meter block, which was not a very big
It's not huge,
block.
no.
It's not huge.
It's not bad. You still get a decent little garden.
That's right. It's new 3-level, 3-bedroom, 4-bathroom residence with 2 living areas and double car park with a garage leading down to a pool and the beach. It was there has been a 6 weeks auction campaign on this particular property, but it hasn't been sold at the auction. And the buyer at the end, who actually purchased the property, didn't even see the property. They just walked in and then made the decision immediately 4 days after the auction.
Yeah, so they walked in 4 days after the auction,
Yeah.
saw it, loved it,
Loved it.
bought
done.
it.
Yeah, bought it. That's it. Yeah. So, and there has been numerous stories across different areas in Sydney this year as well. So there are, this double bay home which last week I've seen it has been sold within just a week on 19 Appian Road, and the price was 5.1, and the original price guide was 5.5 million. So it does still get sold above the price guide as well, within just a little in a week. Yeah. Yeah, and then there's a couple of other things as well. Something new, something old, but looks like things are happening all over the place. All over the place. Art Deco homes are being sold above the reserve, $300,000 more than what it was reserved for. So on and so forth. Overall, I think the message is just the market is hot, and then everyone's gonna working towards the Christmas or right after Christmas, and we'll see what the end results are of this year.
Well, I think what it means is that the market for the right product in the right location is hot.
It is.
So I still think there's certain areas of Sydney which got issues, which are mostly those big growth areas where they've got an oversupply still. And obviously places like Melbourne, they've got big problems in some of their suburbs at the moment.
That's right. And then talking about the right place, now let's have a look at something that's not an eastern suburb, not Lower North Shore, not Upper Shore.
It's an airport.
Yeah, this one is a bit far out. This one is in Campus Creek, which is near the new airport.
Yeah.
And then let's see what happening of the auctions down there. And this particular property has sold $1.2 million above reserve at the auction. So let's just see what happens to areas down the southwest of Sydney. This is a 2-hectare property, 7 kilometers away from the new airport, and the end price for this one was $4.8 million.
Yeah. For 2 hectares. So
For 2
basically
hectares.
for 5 acres. So basically it's $1 million an acre.
That's right. Yeah. So this one is, open only about $3 million, and increment is between 50,000 to 100,000 increments. And looks like the market, even at a more remote area compared to, the areas we've always been talking about, like North Shore and Eastern Suburb, are still very, very hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you've got to do a bit more work on that one. You'd have to. I mean, whether it's just for the house or whether it's because it's got some redevelopment potential, I would guess.
I reckon what this could potentially
Home
be.
100 went for developers, yeah.
Yeah. What this potential would be is for
Is it-
developers to do a
yeah.
land subdivision
Yeah, that's
down the track when the zoning happens.
Yeah.
So this will highly likely become another sort of house land package area. And then this year, the house land packages has been really hot.
Yeah.
With the government's new home builder grant, $25,000, plus the stamp duty, exemptions for first home buyers on the new homes. A lot of my friend who works in the house land packages industry, especially the home builders. I know people from Metrocon, I know people from Christian Homes, and I know people from Ronson Homes. All these project homes, they have been flat out this year. It's not about how many business they can take in. It's about what capacity they can, whether they can build the business. And there has never been that busy. Crucial Homes, being one of the well-known brand, has been telling us they had the busiest months in the history of their business. Which is actually not a singularity event. They're all related.
Yeah.
This one. So we have seen a lot of things get sold, and let's see, what hasn't been sold. Not because of the buyers doesn't want to put out the prices, because the owners think, $13 million for his apartment is still not enough. So this one is owned by the art dealer, and then this beautiful, stunning dining point home passes in auction for $13 million. It is a gorgeous home, by me no wrong. It is an apartment, and this apartment has been significantly renovated.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, it's right down the water. It does have the opera house and the bridge view. The open bid is about 11.2 million, and reason in about $100,000 increments all the way up to 13 million. But it is understood the owner wants to no less than 13.5.
So you want another $500,000 basically.
Another $500,000. Yeah, it's a beautiful
home.
It is a beautiful home. The renovation by the famous architect Stephen Verardi is understand to have cost $5.3 million. Well,
Beautiful.
it is a beautiful home. Yeah. But if you're buying the right place, like the other one, the renovation only cost them about $20,000.
That's what they told the council for their DA fees. Guarantees, they said it costs more, just the list of things they're doing costs more than $20,000.
Right. This view will never be built out. And the agent said, when they launched this to the market in mid-October, this apartment has the highest specs. It's the best best renovated apartment I've never seen in my career. It does seem to have done a fantastic job. Yeah. Look at this beautiful bathroom, the marble, the shape of it. Is how this is all connected, all one piece. It's beautiful. All right. Okay, and let's have a look at this one. Castle Creek Home. So the last two news pieces this week are very warm-hearted. They're very warm-hearted. They are, all related to charity. They're all related to deceased state. The first one, Castle Creek Homes of late artist Charmian. Ogilvy. Charmian Ogilvy sells all profit, donate to charity.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is a very unique property as well. This is the view of it. It's a very beautiful view. It's got a very nice pool and everything. But this is actually a one-bedroom home, over 740 square meters.
Of land.
Yeah, at Castle Creek.
Not one bedroom apartment.
Not one bedroom apartment. Yeah. So 740 square, but even that, 740 square meters of land to build a one-bedroom home.
Well, you do. You just wonder, why would you only build a one-bedroom home on a 740 square metre lot with the views where it lived? It's got beautiful harbour views.
It does.
So, but anyway, good. It's obviously that's what she wanted to do. Good luck for her.
Yeah, very, very unique. And then the reserve price was 2.35 million. 2.325 million, and sold for 3.8.
Yeah.
A whopping $1.475 million above reserve price.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can take a look. This is the inside of the home.
One bedroom with a massive lounge.
Massive lounge. Yeah, it looks very pretty, very beautiful. There are 77 bids for this property, which is just crazy. Yeah, beautiful. And not to mention, go back to this again, all profit are donated to charity.
Yep.
Okay, and another one. This two charities. What are the name of the charity? I think
Oh,
one
I
of them
don't
is
think it's-
Sydney. One of them is Sydney Legacy. I remember one of them is Sydney. There we go. So the two charities
Trust.
are the National Trust and the Sydney Legacy. And the last one, the family sells 20 Sydney terraces for more than 30 million to donate all proceedings to charity. This is a great. This is something that not everyone can do. You know, this is just, you know, beyond. This is another level of kindness. You know, 20 Sydney terraces for more than $30 million. So the 20 terraces are 10 side-by-side townhouses in Surrey Hills on Noob Street, and 10 townhouses side-by-side in Camberdown. Majority of them are two-bedroom townhouses being kept with the family for 3 generations over 97 years. Yep. The two lots both sold about $7.5 million above the reserve to 2 separate investors. And it is very rare to see all these townhomes one next to each other in the very near, like Surrey Hills and Camberdown, very near CBD area. The CBD fringe, very good location. You know, and I'm surprised to see actually these things are on the market. You know, so the 10 terraces in Surrey Hills has been sold for $20.4 million. Another 10 terraces at Camberdown has been sold for $9.7 million. Yeah, so they kept the Surrey Hills home for over 80 years and kept the Camberdown homes for 97 years.
Yeah, it's quite common in London, for instance, where families own a
Whole street.
a whole street, or
Whole
a good
street.
part of a street like
Yes,
these,
right. That's right.
and get passed down generation after generation.
This is good. Yeah, because freehold as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all freehold.
Yeah, because you know, a lot of people buy assets, especially the Asians, Chinese mainly, buying assets overseas because in China the residential title is only 7 years lease.
Yeah.
Yeah, commercial are mainly between sort of 40 to 50 years. So you can't really pass on to generations because the lease will expire
Yeah.
before. And the thing is, unlike Canberra, it's very clear what you can do after the lease expires, just put some money in to renew it. In China at the moment, you don't know, right?
You don't know.
Yeah, so that's the situation. But anyway, you know, it's good for the family and it's very good for what they have done,
Yeah,
you know, obviously.
Admirable.
Yeah, very admirable move. Okay, so that's the news article wrap up in this week, and now let's have some Gary time
Yeah.
to go through
okay.
something that you know, obviously you'll be meaning to talk about.
I've got a huge amount this week. Just point out some of the things that happened. I mean, the unemployment rate has gone up to 7% in Australia. The Reserve Bank thinks it's going to go up by another 1 to 1.5%. As people come off JobKeeper and JobSeeker, though.
Yep.
I would guess, I mean, at some stage the government's going to have an election, so they'll probably try and push these out and get their election in next year before the real pain hits them. So, but anyway, there we are. I mean, the other thing to pick up is that the Reserve Bank has, you know, not only they lower their interest rate, they've started doing QE, which is a bit silly. It's a bit like America. They do QE, which means that the banks get a lot of money to loan out, but they're not actually loaning it out. You know, they were talking about the other week, if you recall, they had this, the government went around saying we must release the banks from these things about these difficulties in lending, but the reality is, you know, except for these properties that we've been looking at, overall, people aren't borrowing money.
No.
So, you know, the banks have got all this money, and really when you look at it, all this stuff is really to make sure the banks are secure. You know, we talked in the past about the fact that the property industry, you know, government wants to keep the property industry going because 25% of the economy is the property industry.
That's right.
So they want to keep that going.
Or related.
But the other thing that they're very, very much on is keeping the banking system on an even keel, because once your banks start to go down, then that really affects the whole economy big time. So we've got all this money available for people, but the reality, whilst interest rates have gone down, people on the whole aren't borrowing huge amounts of it to do stuff with. People are still looking to pay down debt. They're very, very conscious of what they spend their money on. And let's be fair, in some ways they can't spend their money. I mean, you still have problems with, the number of people you can get in restaurants. You still have problems in terms of how many people can go in a pub. You still can't fly to Queensland for a holiday at the moment. So you certainly can't go internationally, not unless you want to start spending 2 weeks at either end.
That's right.
Which is a bit of a waste of time. So, people aren't borrowing money, they're not spending, and that's what the issue is, which is why the interest rate's headed down, and that's what I was talking about last week. That's exactly what's happening in the States. So the rates are going to go lower, basically. But not by a lot, though. But I don't think they can. But in the States they may go negative. Whether we'll ever go negative, I don't know. And then nothing huge. I'm going to try and get some tables sorted out. But the one thing that was quite thing is that they've got very, very high amount of people leaving Victoria. Reasonably high leaving New South Wales as well. Obviously, we talked about a lot of people going from Sydney out to the regions, the same with Melbourne. But that, basically, the area that's really hot, and we discussed it last week, is the area on the coast along in Queensland. Gold Coast,
Noosa
and Noosa. So there we go. But again, just picking the stuff up, the statistics is showing now, I'm talking the economic statistics, that the good inner suburbs of Sydney are absolutely booming up. Although what they've picked up, not so much in Sydney, though there is some, but certainly in Melbourne, there's certain suburbs with mainly the old growth suburbs, the high growth with infrastructure on the edges, they're still suffering. So, and that's where the people who are in the main stress, under financial stress, that's where they're located. And we'll have to see how that plays out. I mean, Commonwealth Bank have now said they're not going to start any forced homes until September next year. You can expect the other banks to follow suit. Or we'll have to just see what happens, whether they do start, or whether the Reserve Bank can buy up all the distressed mortgages just to keep the thing going. We don't know. So not a lot this week. I just thought I'd take it back, but I'm going to try and get some slides so that I can show some of this stuff.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, we can put the slides up next week if you can get them ready. And then I guess that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in for another week's Australian Weekly Real Estate News Highlight. And we'll be seeing you again next week. This is Peter.
And I'm Gary.
Yeah, see you next
See you
week.
soon. Cheers.
Cheers.